Right, in this video we're going to show you how to test a timer that is giving you an off power signal even though the transformer is plugged in and hooked up correctly. So we'll run through the steps. I've got a multimeter here. This is a pretty helpful tool to have around the house for multiple purposes. They can be picked up for usually less than $10 at a hardware store or something like that. And I'll show you all the settings that you need to have. I know it can be kind of confusing with all the settings on there. But okay, so the first thing we're going to do, this timer I've got, this is a working timer. We've already tested this and we know that it's working. So I've got to unplug to simulate maybe the signals that you may be getting with the off power display and all those sorts of things. So the first thing you want to do, of course, is make sure that the light socket or the outlet that it's plugged into is functioning. And you would do that by plugging in some other device, you know, a lamp or something like that that you know works, and testing that. So if that's not working, then the problem's probably not the timer or the transformer, but the outlet. But if you know that the outlet is working, next thing to do is test for the function of the transformer, and then finally for the fuse. So let's start by testing for the function of the transformer. So on your multimeter, you would make sure it's switched on, and you would go to the AC section. This one says ACV, stands for AC voltage. These timers, as you can see, they're 24 VAC, which stands for 24 volts AC power. So when you've got this set to the AC, you are testing for AC voltage. So basically, while your timer is plugged in, you would take your two leads, which are these, and you would touch the two terminals. Now, if you don't get any sort of reading change, you'll notice that my multimeter stays at 0. That means there's no voltage going through there. Now, if I go ahead and plug this in, you'll see that it will start to register. So the timer's plugged in. Now if I touch this, I'll get somewhere between 23 to about 29. Yeah, so you see there I'm getting about, it's registering at about 28.8, which is good. So these transformers are rated for 26 voltage, and you know, voltage is not something that stays at an absolute number the whole time. It will fluctuate a few bits there. So we know that this transformer is working correctly because we're getting a good reading on that. So next thing we're going to do is check the fuse. So to do that, we need to go to the ohms section, which is displayed by this omega symbol down here. And I'm just going to set it to 200K, but as long as you're in one of these, you should get a reading. So first thing I'm going to do is touch the two leads together, and I should get a reading which will sink down to somewhere close to 0. So you see it's at, you know, it's jumping around a bit, but it'll sort of float down to the 0. There you go. So that means that we've got continuity in our leads. Next thing we're going to do is touch the two sides of the fuse. And you'll see we're getting a reading that's close to 0 there. It's 0.7. As long as it's probably between 0 and 1.5, you're pretty much good. That means that there's continuity in the fuse, and the fuse is working correctly. It's transmitting what it should be. So that fuse is good. So we know the fuse is good. So at that point, now we're looking at probably something to do with the wiring of the terminals, and that could be to do with the solenoids or the sprinkler wire that goes out to the different valves and the solenoids on the valves, if you're getting good readings on all of these things. If your fuse is bad, then you need to replace it with one that is either between about 0.5 amps to 0.75 amps, and that's written here on the timer. You'll see it underneath the fuse. There's writing that says 0.75A. And that's the fuse, is a 0.75 amp fuse. You don't want to go above that, or it's just going to fry the minute you turn the timer on. So if you've done these things and you notice that you're still getting the off power signal, even though your transformer is good and your fuse is good, then you'll want to contact us and we'll have to take some next steps. It may be that the entire timer is bad, or there's something wrong with your solenoids or valves. Anyway, hopefully this video was helpful. Let us know in the comments below if you have any questions. Thanks.